My name is Ryan Donaldson, and I am the owner and photographer for Ryan Donaldson Photography. How long have I been working as a photographer? I've been working as a photographer for 6 years full-time and probably pretty full-time for about 8 years. So I started when I was a kid doing photos, and I've kind of continued that through my life, but as a job, probably about 6 to 8 years I've been doing photography. What job experience do you have? Have you held any other job titles with your current employer? Currently, I am my own boss. I own my own company, and I do my own thing. Previous to this, I worked at Carlson High School as an art teacher. I did that for 8 years, and that was a great job. I loved it. I loved being part of teaching kids about art and doing all that stuff. It was very fun. So that was a great job prior to this one. What are your job duties and responsibilities? My job duties and responsibilities include day-to-day, possibly taking photos if I'm booked that day, editing. Usually every day I have to edit something, and then I have to go through the process of posting on social media, marketing, running a website, meeting with clients, trying to get new clients. It's a lot of work. It's not all taking photos. That's probably not much of what I do. It's probably a small portion. A lot of what I do is behind a computer editing or trying to find new customers, that sort of thing. Describe a typical day and tasks you complete. Typically, I wake up fairly early and I edit in the morning. I like to edit earlier, so usually I edit in the morning. And then I usually kind of wear out on that about noonish. And then I go into other stuff. I might do social media stuff or work on my website, possibly return emails, that kind of thing. And then I usually shoot in the evenings if I am shooting that day. So depending on what I'm doing, but that's kind of my typical day to day. And every day can be a little different. I'm my own boss. I can pick and choose when I want to do things, which is nice. Some days I sleep in, some days I get up super, super early and work. It has a lot of flexibility that I enjoy. What qualifications or education is needed for your job? To be a photographer, you really don't need anything except the equipment. To be a good photographer, you need a lot of experience. So I would say that learning on the job and learning from somebody that's been doing it a while is probably your best bet. My dad and his dad were photographers, so I kind of started shooting photos when I was probably about 9. I had a film camera, and I shot Old Tiger Stadium everywhere. I would go with my dad and shoot everything. It was fun, and I really liked it, really enjoyed it. So that was kind of my early experience. And then as I got older, it was practice and learning online. There's a lot of free and paid things that you can learn from online. Another Mr. Butson, you guys know Mr. Butson, probably a lot of you. When I first started, him and I both got cameras, and we would shoot probably multiple times a week. We'd just go to Detroit, go anywhere, and we'd just shoot and take pictures and edit them and see if we could come up with something cool. And that was probably a big part of what kept me going and got me interested and got me more and more interested to where I wanted to do it full time. If you were thinking about going to be a photographer, I don't know that I'd recommend going to college per se. I would recommend probably some type of internship or apprenticeship where you assist a professional photographer. Sometimes it's unpaid, but you don't have to pay for it. Usually you might have to work for free, but you won't come out in debt, and you can use that money you save to buy equipment, which is needed. Good equipment is needed to be a professional photographer, and experience is needed. And you gain that experience from helping a professional, learning how to do things, how to manipulate things, that type of thing. And it'll teach you a lot. And I think that is the route I would recommend if you want to be a professional photographer, is to find somebody to assist, learn from them, save your money, buy good gear, don't buy cheap gear. And that would be a good path that I would recommend. What personal characteristics and skills are necessary to be a photographer? I would say you have to be outgoing and being able to communicate easily with multiple personalities and communication types. I come in contact with a wide range of people that have different communication skills, and you have to find a way to understand their needs as what they want, and then also be able to communicate back to them and give them something that you want to give them and that they also want. So there's very, very wide range of people that communicate in different manners and have different personalities, and you have to be able to get along and navigate those easily. So being able to talk to people easily would be a big skill that I would recommend. You also have to be self-motivated, because there's no boss yelling at me and giving me a timeline on anything. It's all self-motivation. So you have to be able to keep on task on your own without having somebody to push you. It can be very easy to get lazy, and I do that from time to time where you get in a rut and you get lazy, but you have to be able to pull out of it, motivate yourself to get out of it and get back to work. What do you like most about your job? My favorite part of my job is that I get to do something I love every day. I always love taking photos. That's my happy place. That's my happy thing to do. And that's what people pay me to do. And I appreciate that. And I'm very grateful for that, because not many people get to do what they want every day of their life. And I do. And I'm very lucky. And I would say that being able to do that is my favorite part, because if I don't work, I get frustrated, and I like to be at work and doing work and working around photos and stuff. So that's, I think, the best part of it. Also the flexibility. I can manipulate my day or my schedule how I want. So it allows me to do some things during the week and vacations and stuff that I can fit in without having, limited amounts of time or a boss to tell me no. So I think that's a nice feature as well. What do you find the most challenging about your job? The most challenging is probably the competition. I would say that there's everybody that has a camera now thinks that they're a photographer and are a professional photographer. And I think that's tough. And the ability to get good gear and the ability to educate yourself is fairly easy now. So there's lots of resources to learn. The cost of gear has come down quite a bit. So it's the barrier to entry is much easier than it used to be. And so that is going to bring more competition. So while I think that's the most challenging part, it's also a good part, because it mandates that you keep on top of your game and improve, or you'll be washed out. So I think that's a tough part of it, but also a good part. So you have to find a way to make it positive, right? What opportunities for advancement are there related to your job in general, also with your current employer? Being self-employed, the opportunity for advancement's infinite. So depending on what I choose to do or how I go about it, I could, you could come up to be a, commercial photographer. That would be the higher echelon of it, where you're shooting ads for, giant companies. Make lots of money. You can make lots of money doing that. So that would be probably the higher echelon of being a photographer, would be a big commercial photographer for big brands, which would be nice. That would probably be the room for improvement. There's also the opportunities too. If you get good at it, you can get hired by companies like Ford, GM. Lots of companies hire photographers. So you could be, if you'd rather not deal with competition getting business, you could be staffed as a photographer, and you can do fairly well doing that as also. What is the job outlook for your position in the future? Growing, steady, or declining? I think in the future, I think visual art, photography, videography is going to keep being prominent. I don't see it going anywhere. Everybody has a camera now. I think for a professional photographer, it's a little scary, because everybody has access to it now. So it's, the need, there's more people to fill that need of a photographer. But also I think too, you have to remember that being a professional photographer, if you have it plays with the economy. If the economy is going down, people don't have extra money to hire photographers. So that's something to think about, the shape of the economy if you want to be a photographer. But everything can be negotiated, navigated. It's just a matter of how you do things and how you run your business. And I think that's the challenge of being self-employed and owning your own business, is figuring those things out and seeing how you can be successful. What advice do you have for students interested in your career? If you're interested in being a photographer, I encourage you to just shoot as many photos as you can. Any camera you have, any access you have, just keep shooting, getting better. And while you do that, learn online for free. There's lots of websites that will teach you how to edit. They'll teach you about composition and how to frame things and the settings of a camera so you're not just shooting in auto. I think that is my recommendation, is to keep shooting, keep shooting. If you do that for a year and you take thousands and thousands of photos and you just love it and want to keep doing it, I think at that point I'd recommend that you reach out to somebody for a mentorship or to be an assistant and try to learn from somebody that's a professional at it, because taking photos for fun and doing it for a job are very different. It's still fun and it's still exhilarating, but it changes how you feel about it because it does become work. And so you have to really, really love it if you want to keep doing it as a job. And it's not always easy and stressful, and not stressful. It can often be very stressful depending on how busy you are, how not busy you are. So I think I would recommend starting out shooting a lot, editing a lot, learning a lot, and then try to get to be an assistant for somebody and see how that works and see if you like it and learn from them. And then you'll have the tools and tricks you need to be a professional photographer. I also recommended learning about business and finance, and I'd recommend, if you did want to go to school, to go to some type of business school. A lot of the things I didn't have any clue about are business related. So I would say that learning business is just as important as learning photography if you want to be a professional photographer. Especially if you want to work for yourself and own your own business. There's a lot of caveats that are in it that I just didn't know and had to figure out my own on the fly. And you can do it, but I'd recommend researching it first and learning about that. That's all the questions I have. I'd like to wrap up by saying thank you for having me, and I appreciate you asking me to do this. I always like teaching and I always enjoyed it, so it's nice to kind of get back and maybe share something about myself that people might find interesting. If you want to check out my work, you can check out my work at www.ryandphoto.com. I'm also on Instagram and on Facebook, so you can look me up there if you want. But if you have any questions, reach out and I'll be happy to answer them. All right, have a great day. Bye.